Hello, welcome and namaste. Today my guest is Santosh Bhai, one of our common friend. Pratyush introduced us, and then I saw your journey. You have been doing a lot of things on your professional work as well as everything that you do to help developers and their career and then their journey. So I think this episode will be an amazing one with a lot of actionable advice and everything. So with that, I wanted to hand over mic to you, Santosh Bhai, to share what you do and how is your typical day and week look like.
So first of all, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to actually come here and share my journey. I'm very excited. And a little bit about myself. My name is Santosh, and I'm from India basically. But I live in Germany now. It's been 2 years since I moved to Germany. I live near Hamburg. In case if you're driving to Hamburg, just let me know. We can of course catch up. In as a developer, of course, I work full time at Celonis. So I'm a senior software engineer there, working on a platform team. And yeah, uh, and in the community of I have been pretty active since 2019. So I'm a Google developer expert for Angular. I also become a GitHub star. I was the first Indian GitHub star. And yeah, I'm also part of another program called NX Champions. So NX is a tool for, you can say it's a build tool for monorepos with support of monorepos. It's an amazing tool. I just use it everywhere I go, and lucky to use it full time at my current job as well. And we run a community. So I'm also a co-founder of a community called This is Learning. So we have some two publications actually. This is Learning and This is Angular, because me and my co-founder both are actually Angular developers. So he's tried to keep Angular separate because of course there is a need, or there was space for it. So we thought of doing that. And we also run a podcast, which is called the Tech Talks. We are still doing it. So of course, in case you get some time in future, I will drop your mail, and probably you can join our podcast. We'll do some episodes after June. So of course, I will reach out to you for sure,
Yeah.
and we'll be honored to have you. Yeah. So yeah, this is pretty much of what I do.
There is so many things that I want to ask follow-up questions on. I want to ask a typical day or week. How that look like for you?
It totally depends. One thing which I'm really bad at is time management. So whenever someone asks me a question like, how do you manage your time? I have no idea. Somehow it works. Somehow I'm able to do all these things. I have gone through multiple burnouts for sure. And of course, I learned my lesson that, okay, pushing myself too much is not good. But generally, like, of course, I have a full time job, as I said, at salons. But I generally try to start, let's say 9:30. Sometimes I start early, so I end early. But a good thing about salons is, of course, they really care about your work-life balance. Of course, I don't work on weekends. I have never since 2016, but uh, at Celonis, even though we are fast growing, we are one of the biggest startup in Germany, but it's not a startup culture. So we are really settled down. We care more about pushing to product which works rather than just pushing something which breaks on weekends. So we try to book like, yeah, till Thursday we try to do our releases so everyone can enjoy their weekend. And we also plan that accordingly. So of course that part is settled. And then we do podcast, as I said. So we try to schedule some episodes which we record over the week. Then apart from that, we are also doing a conference this
Mhm.
in next month. It's in May. A little bit busy with that, like promoting things and like meeting the team and see like how we can do that. So that's my current schedule right now, but it totally depends. And sometimes actually, if I'm not doing that, probably I'll be doing, maybe I'll write something which I don't too much now. There was a time I used to write a lot, but as I said, it really depends. I don't fix a thing like, for example, okay, I just want to do this at this time. It's not like that. I try to see like what, yeah, if I'm bored with something, let's pick up something new. So the human
Mhm.
mind works better in that way because you're not doing the same thing again and again. But yeah, then of course, traveling to conferences, speaking at conferences, meetups, that's what I do. I did almost 13 conferences last year. So this year, I just want to settle down, take some time off. So I'm not doing 10, 11 conferences this year, but probably 4 or 5. Currently, I haven't done My last meetup was in January. Now next
Mhm.
conference is in May. So yeah.
You're doing so much. And then on top of that, you're saying you're not good at time management. The only way you can do all these because you're doing something, some management, you're prioritizing at least what need to be done versus watching TV for hours.
Do that as well. Me and my daughter, we love to watch a few serials, so we do that together. And then we like to play Ludo. Yeah, she cries a lot to do this, but it's okay. And then we sometimes play four in a row. I was just on vacation for 2 weeks. So, of course, like that's also important. So, I just came from vacation on 1st of April. So, yeah, I do all those things as well. Watching TV is something we love.
I saw your one of the videos that you posted is where you you're going from one room to another and your daughter is dropping you for office. It was so cute.
That was the first thing. First year when I started working remote, it actually means a lot to me because it has a backstory. So, when my daughter was born, of course, she was in hospital. And then I had to take a lot of loans and I was under a lot of debt basically. So I ended up working like crazy for
Mhm.
4 years. I was just working and then I missed a lot of time. And then when I had this realization, so I missed 4 years and she was four suddenly. So I felt bad. So I felt bad that I couldn't like had so much time with her. I could have done that. But of course that was something which was needed, right? I needed money to pay off all
Mhm.
those debts. And then when I started working remote, and now I'll be there with her full time. And that was the day like, I started working remote full time. And it's been 4 years now. So that's actually that video has backstory as well.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I thought that was cute, but now uh, can relate to the meaning of that, what you just said. I have two kids. My son finishing college, and then my daughter is in seven. So big difference. But fortunately, that actually helped because during my son young age, I was busy building my career. So I was in office until 10, sometime 11, working weekends, and then I moved US, and then multiple struggles here as well. So, and I wanted to build a web agency on side. So I was working more hours, and I still remember he is waiting an hour for me to go with him in pool, community pool. And so many years later, when my daughter born, I did make a very intentional decisions to give her a priority, give family a priority. And so I was able to spend so much time with her since her childhood to now. Even 2 weeks ago, she has a project during spring break where she was drawing or painting on a school wall. So I decided to work from there for 2 days. I posted few videos, but I was sitting there and anytime she need any help or something, I would just go there and help her. Otherwise, I would just working from there. And it's it's a blessing that we have that intention and we are able to do that. I guess once you decide, once you make that some intention, then things work out for you anyway. So thank you for sharing that. Going back to, you said you've been very heavy in Angular and you have community there, you have different type of activities around Angular. So have you tried React or not?
I remember like I started with Windows. And then I was doing some ASP.NET and then MVC. And then I came across AngularJS basically because one of my friend actually was doing some stuff with Anycam yes, at that time. And around 2017 or end of 2016, like I was like, thinking about, okay, what is there any other framework which I want to learn about? And then I came across Angular 2 basically. But yes, really started learning Angular when the Angular 4 version 4 came in. And that was the same time I tried a little bit of React, but Flow was adopting TypeScript at that time, and Angular was the first framework. And when I tried TypeScript, it like felt like home because .NET is type language. We know type language. So I thought of why not doing this because I knew like I had written some of JavaScript. I had written crazy jQueries. You can say JavaScript using jQuery. So I was aware of the drawbacks, right, which jQuery had previously, and of course Angular JS. because it was all JavaScript, right? So I really like TypeScript, I would say. And then I Angular, and okay, this is the best thing for me. And of course, that was the time React was, of course, JS, and now React community was really against using TypeScript. So I knew, okay, I want to go ahead and do Angular with TypeScript, and that's how I started.
Okay. So I started the .NET development, and then later on, so .NET is in C Sharp and ASP.NET. And then my role became a manager, and I was managing the workplace team, intranet team. So there we made a decision to not build a custom application, but use something called .NET Nuke. It's a CMS platform. And then from there, we moved to SharePoint, Office 360. So SharePoint is standalone and then Office 365. So I led a team to build Advent Health corporate intranet that currently used by 100,000 people. And we migrated from on-prem SharePoint to cloud, and we roll out to all entire company. So I did that. And by that time, the development was not a traditional ASP.NET or C Sharp development. We were still building web part, we were still building connectors and all. And from that point, I did two more things. I got contract with Nintex. So I brought them in Advent Health to build the workflows. So that avoided not doing more custom applications at that point. And then I became a senior manager, and my role was to lead the agile transformation in the consumer team. So by that time, I was detached completely from development. And just now in last 1 month, I'm trying to get back into, but I've been thinking about that for almost a year now. I don't get too much time for coding, but I've been thinking, should I just go back to C Sharp and ASP.NET so that I will get a jump start, or should I go with something like React so that I can relate with people, whatever they're developing? So I'm leading a cohort right now for free. And in that team, they're using Next, Next, Next.js.
Yeah.
So with that team, I started exploring. I'm not building, but every time they build something, I try to run it on my machine, and that kind of bringing the connection back into coding. So that's my high level journey right now, and getting back into some kind of coding. I'm still love .NET, but just between Python, React, Next, Cloud, Angular, there's so much to choose from. The landscape is not like it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
I can understand. That was easier time, right? So you just had .NET, Java to choose from, and then you have, if you would have a database, go with Oracle or just go with SQL. And now you have like tons of options
Yeah.
everywhere. And then you're just scared, what should I choose? Because what happens in case something is deprecated?
And in that time, we was like full stack by default.
Yeah.
When I heard about front-end developer first time, I honestly did not appreciate. I was like laughing, like, really? You just gonna do front end? I appreciate all the thing that they do with all the fine tuning and all the calls that they make. But initially, I did not appreciate it. Who? Why would you want to become a front end developer and do just HTML and UI? Um,
I I remember like when I was working at a startup in Mumbai, so we hired a front end developer, the first front end developer, and he was doing mostly HTML and CSS. And when I tried to move into front end, that was a different era like altogether because Angular was more than just a front end
yes.
framework, right? You can do so much things. You have router, you have forms, and you can just build so much things, so many things with that. And over the years, like one developers are just not doing front end; they're also doing DevOps. Of course, you are taking care of your GitHub actions probably somewhere. You're also interacting a lot with your backend team thanks to JavaScript, like taking care of the backend as well. Now you have some frameworks like for backend as well, and somewhere you can also fit that into your tech stack basically. So that's a good thing. And like even front end, right? It has become so much bigger. For example, your NPM dependencies and everything.
Right.
Only managing your dependencies is a full-time job. Believe me.
Yeah. And I was watching a video this morning. I have a Pluralsight subscription that I buy for my team, but because of that, I also have that. So I was just checking one video, Next.js big picture. And one of the things that they said, it managed 200 plus dependencies for you. I wanted to touch on you running two communities with your co-founder, right? I wanted to ask more about it. What are they, and what's your vision behind it? Why did you start it?
So we both big advocate for open learning and open source. So it was like in 2019 when I started writing or when I started getting involved with Angular community, right? So we both used to write for a particular community. We were both part of it. And then the community decided to take other way. They wanted to make it paid, and we were not very vocal about that we want to promote free stuff. So we could both decide to take step back. We said, okay, we will not take part in this. And of course, then my friend Lars, who is my co-founder, and he's also one of the GitHub star from Denmark. So he started his own. He's had something called This is Angular and This is Learning. And he asked me like if I want to join as a writer. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? With him, and there were more people already on board it. So for a year, I was, and that was time like around 2020, yeah, 2019, I become a Google developer expert. And 2020, I was exploring few, I was like actively writing, and then there was a time that someone tried to bully me, one of the conference organizer from India. So he bullied me on Twitter, and then I decided to take a break because other thing was just to quit, really quit. But yeah, a lot of people spoke to me. They convinced me not to do this. So I decided to take a break, and I took 3 months break, and then came back with my own show called this Tech Talk with Santosh. We ended up doing that for a year, and then of course there was fun because I was doing 4 episodes every month. Yeah, so
I
four.
thought you were saying 4 episode per week, and I said no.
That's not possible. We used to do 1 episode per week, and live streams, right? So that was live stream. And then I ended up doing one for a year, and then I got burnout again. So I was like, okay, what should I do? I spoke to one of my friends. He suggested why not to like join hands with someone because you cannot scale up. Same these two Lars because he was already doing this as learning. So I was like, hey, Lars, what do you think? We just merge my show, the Tech Talk with Santosh, with this is learning, and then we do something new and involve more people. So he said, why not you joining as a co-founder? And then we take it forward. So I'm like, okay, sounds like a good idea. So 2021, I joined as a co-founder. So before that, like we just had an application. This is learning and this is study. Which is on dev.to. So everyone is free to join, and they just need to, in case someone wants to join, just send me a DM on LinkedIn or Twitter, and then we can onboard you. And that
This is learning is the community number one, and then Angular.
the community name is This is Learning, but This is Angular is part of it. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay, okay.
So as a publication, we have kept it separate. So you will find two publications on dev.to. This is learning and this is Angular
Got,
core.
got
But this is learning is more about for any technology. Like in case you want to write about React,
okay.
.NET, backend, front-end, cloud, anything. And this is Angular is more specific to Angular because as I said, we
Got it.
both are Angular developers. So we wanted to take that forward. And then when I joined, we decided to start our own show. So we said, okay, let's merge. This is Tech Talks with Santosh and this is learning. So we came up with this is Tech Talks. So we have been doing it for 3 years now. We just released our 54th episode this last week.
Wow.
And this year we decided to take a different path. We said, okay, let's record it. Previously it was live stream, so we had to actually be available. At the same time, we said, okay, let's move to recorded one. We hired an editor, and then we record podcast and then publish 2 episodes per month. We slowed down. We said, no, 4 was too much earlier. Now let's come back and let's settle down a little bit. And then we keep rotating our host. Let's say we have three hosts, like me, Lars, and then Jay. Jay is from Canada. So with you are already there. And then sometime we got a new host called Four Boys of from Canada. Yeah. We sometimes like all four are available, but sometimes let's say I'm the only one or Jay and me one. We do this like podcast every week. We record it and then of course we publish it later. But Apart from that, we are, as I said, we are planning this conference, and we have some courses, open courses available on our GitHub repository. I'll share the link probably and just add it in the notes. And like anyone is free to join and update those courses in case they think it's valuable. And then, of course, we have a lot of writers. Ryan Carniato from Solid.js, the creator of Solid. He is also one of the early writer. I don't know how Blast got him to write for this learning, but that was great because it gives us a lot of visibility. And a lot, like Ryan is also like big advocate for open learning. And I think that's why he joined us to make sure like all his content are available for free because he's also not a big fan. It's like for Medium. But and then of course we are growing. We have more than 130 writers. I think that's the last time what we saw. And doing this conference, probably we'll do more virtual conference, social.
And who can join your writing team? Anybody or?
Anyone. We don't. You can write whatever you want. In case you want to write some critique about something, feel free to do that because we believe everyone has their thoughts to share about, and that should not be censored, I would say.
I know somebody who his name is Devarshi and he's been writing really good articles. And I write non-technical article, but it's still very technical, but not coding syntax, but talking about how to build project, how to design a project, how to do all that thing. So I would be interested in doing that, writing for you guys.
Yeah, sure. As I said, this is learning is more about learning, right? It's all about
Yep.
tech. So it doesn't need to be code. Yeah, feel free to just message me and just chat you as an author and on board on artist.
Okay. And let's spend a few minutes about the conference as well. So you said you're organizing a conference. Is that in person, virtual? What is it?
Virtual for sure, because we have people from all around the world. So we thought of doing this conference so we can give chance to first time speakers. So that was the idea, like before we even started planning. So we are not looking at any sponsors or anything because just for virtual con, I think there are of course there are investment, but limited. So we thought of like just managing it
Okay.
on our own. And we'll that's why we are doing it in 2 days, May 15th and 16th. So we can cover most of the time zone. Let's see how it goes. I'm a little scared because we already have around close to 100 talks. We cannot select 100 talks, right? But there are some great talks. So let's see how we can pick up.
Speaking talk, you gave a 13 talk last year. How the two part? How did you get those 13 talks? And how did you prepare your mind to give those talks? I don't know if you'd been doing this for some long time, or I'm sure initially there was some mental preparation to go face audience.
Of course, there is. So I started giving talks in 2019, but recently on Celonis, I shared this blog. I just had a interview with one of my editors from Celonis. So how I started actually public speaking. I can share the link. You can plug in, but I'll just tell you a little bit about it. So of course, I was always scared to speak to people. So it's not like it came naturally. And when I was working at the startups, I started as senior engineer, and then of course I became a team lead, and then I was managing multiple teams. And that was the time I was a little bit frustrated, I would say, because coding is my first love. I came back to coding. From manager, I just gave up and then came back to IC role. So I was thinking like, how can I keep myself updated? And that's where I started doing internal some sessions, right? Talking about .NET. And that was the time when Silverlight came. I was doing some Silverlight, even different topics. I started doing that, and then it gave me a little bit confidence that I can speak in front of people. And of course, managing people, of course, that's a huge thing, right? In case you're introvert, it just sucks basically.
Yeah.
Because as a manager, you need to have some kind very hard talk, which you're not comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
And so that gave me a little bit confidence. And then when I moved to Pune, I started teaching Angular. I was teaching at one of the institute, and then I started doing online thing as well. And then of course I was building my confidence. And then 2019, I remember like when I started contributing to Angular, and people started recognizing me that okay, this guy is doing something for Angular. And there was message from my friend from Sri Lanka. He was organizing in Sri Lanka, and he posted he's looking for speakers. I was like, hey, I would like to give this talk. And then he said, yeah, sure, come in. And that was just like, okay, uh, that happened. And then when I went there, of course, there were 300 people. So I was scared. My first talk, I still watch it and I was like, what the hell? I was so scared. And then I came back and then I spoke to some people. I spoke to Sam Julian he used to work for Okta. He was the development manager because
Mhm.
he was also from my community and we were good friends. So I spoke to him. I think that was the time I came back and he wrote a blog like how to give a presentation, like how to give a talk. I was like, wow, this is interesting. I thanked him. This is really what I needed because my
Mhm.
first talk was like, for me, it was horrible. And then I came back, worked on things, and then 2020 came. I gave a conference. I gave a talk at one of the conference in India on Angular. That went well. And then COVID happened. Couldn't travel. Then I started giving online talks. I think I've given more than 60 talks so far. Of course, public, in person and online as well. And then when I moved to Germany, I think so. One of the decision behind moving to Germany was because I get access to so many countries I can travel without
Mhm.
any visa, and that worked. So when I came here, I think I started traveling in October 2022. My first stop was in US, so I went to Salt Lake City. NX was organizing their first conference, in-person conference after COVID, and they invited me to speak there. And my employer was very happy to let me do that. I had joined just honest like a month before.
Mhm.
Like I joined in August 2022, and then September was when the conference was happening. And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And then started traveling more and getting into conferences. I think there are two things which works for me basically because people know me, so it makes things a little bit easier. Yeah, knowing, of course, for organizers also works, but of course, the content is the key, right? So, what I try to do at the end of, is not the end of, but the start of the year, I decide these are the four talks which I want to give. I don't like because I've done this that oh I want to prepare a new talk every time. It's not possible. If you're giving 10 talks and then you're looking for 10 different topics,
Mhm.
impossible. You have full-time job and everything. So it's not chemical. So I just decided like I'll prepare four talks at the start of the year, change things a little bit based on the audience. What helped me here is I also had a session with GitHub star, right? GitHub gave us like a good session with one of the public speaking what do you say consultant. So
Mhm.
we also had this chat with them when things were online. And they also like gave us some idea. Also had some session with Google. Google gave us some free session with the consultants who can help us improve our public speaking. And it helps, literally helped because it helped me clear my mind that how should I prepare my talk? I don't have to look for new talk every time. Or how I can adjust my talk based on time because sometimes your talk is 50 minutes, but conference gives you 20 minutes. What should you do? So those are the things which I learned from there, and then I try to adjust. So let's say if prepare four talks, it depends like where I'm speaking, what kind of audiences, how much time I have, and then I try to adjust based on that.
Wow. This was a master class on how to start building your presentation or speaking engagement. And you have a very practical journey from your first few talks to where you are now. 13 speaking engagement last year. It's still remarkable. Thank you for sharing all that. Now, we talk about so many stuff. One last question on these activity. Where do you see all the this is learning or your speaking engagement or your talk or YouTube, everything that you're doing on your side, where do you see that in few years from now? Is there a revenue plan? Is there a business plan? Is there big picture that you're trying to work out?
No, actually, when I started, I did that for money as I was teaching Angular when I needed
Hmm.
money. And as I said, like I was into a lot of bets. I was doing some, you can plug in that story which I shared, which I wrote. But so I know like how it feels to not have money, right? During even my college days, I couldn't afford books. I know like how it feels to not have anything accessible for free. And when I realized, okay, now I make enough money for myself, I'll make, okay, let's stop this. Because now I can manage and I can give good life to my family in whatever I learn. So this is time to go back and give back to the community. That was the whole idea in 2019 to start contributing to Angular, because I was looking for ways in which I can give back to the community, because it made my life better. I started teaching Angular. I started making more. I got a good job when I was in India, and then I got a remote job. Of course, that happened later, but by 2018 I was like settled down. And 2019 I started contributing to Angular, started doing talks and everything. I was like, okay, now enough. Yeah, that was the whole agenda, that okay, I want to give back in some ways possible. So even I launched a course in 2022 on Angular. It's still available on FreeCodeCamp. I think it has more than 1 million views, and it's 17 hours of course, which is free. Of course, I could have made money on that, but that was the time. Like, okay, no, I don't want to do that. The only thing is, of course, I want to do more, but I have limited time, and sometimes it doesn't suit. I'm still working on another course for more than a year now, but yeah, the idea is, of course, whatever I do, it should be available for free for everyone.
I'm on a similar journey where I have invested last 3 years. Most of the thing that I do is completely free. That's how I want to keep, but I also want to see how I can not do my full-time job and spend entire time here. And so far, the thought process is this, that all my services will be free, but when it comes to one-on-one time or deeper conversation, that's when I will start charging money, or maybe some kind of venture where I'm bringing people who want to develop, has an idea and develop something, and people who want to contribute some time. And if I bring them together to build a new application or software or something, and that's where I will find some angle, some revenue angle. But truly, our job gave us so much that selling courses or something, it's a tiny compared to what we get from our job.
So a lot of people do ask me if I want to go sell something. I don't know. I've never do that. Even like this one-on-one, I'm not a big fan of doing those as well for money. So I actually get DMs, like sometimes people asking for help. So I'm like, okay, I see like how serious they are basically. And then I just give them my email ID and schedule something for free. But yeah, it really depends.
Yeah, I have to figure out that for myself, that what 2, 3 years from now look like, where I can take it to the next level, where, yeah, all that. I want to go back to your full-time job. You moved to Germany 2 years ago. How did you find this job? Is that the job you was working in India and moved through company, or you found the job first and then moved to Germany?
In India, I was doing consulting. So I was consulting for two big companies. And then it was like around 2020 when COVID thing was getting worst in India. So of course I got scared because I don't have any backup in my family. So it's okay, me and my wife and daughter. So I started thinking like what I should do next. And then I decided, okay, I want to move away from India, because of course paying those much taxes and then getting nothing for free. I mean, there was no future. That's what I thought. No offense to anyone. Of course, India is a great country. I mean, you can still make a better living in case you have family and friends, or you can, if you have extended family, for sure. But that was not the case in my situation. So I started exploring Canada for some time, and then and like, okay, let's reach out to one of my friends. So I was working with him in 2020. So when I started working remote, right? So he was the one who recommended me for a job. He used to work from Hamburg, and I was working from India. And then we
Okay.
left around the same time. I started doing consulting. He went to another job. And then I reached out to him again saying, hey, do you think you have anything where I can come back to Germany and work? And he was nice enough to actually recommend me. I came back to Germany, but unfortunately, things didn't work out. I left that job during my 6 months probation, and I joined Celonis, where I work now.
So
But
wait, you was in Germany before?
no, I was not.
You said
Um,
you come back to Germany, so that's why I thought.
Sorry. Probably because he was in Germany and we were working together. So I left it.
Yes, yes,
And
yes, yes,
again,
yes. Got it, got it. So when you was working for that company, you found another job, and this is what you found.
things,
Celonis.
yeah, things were complicated there.
Okay.
They had no work, no Angular work, and yeah, it was not working basically for both of us. So I decided to quit. And then it was probation periods. I had 6 months to tell them if I have to work on it. And then I was like, okay, let's. Celonis came and it was a better offer. And yeah,
Mhm.
And so that was the time I was struggling. I was under depression and everything because I was alone in Germany. My family was back in India. The company was not helping at all. And those times when you are under depression, you need someone to help you. And then Lonis came. They really helped me during hiring process as well. They were like pretty clear. Okay, I can go back to India with my family and come back. I can take my time off. So I like those things. And they were taking the initiative from their side by just listening to what I'm saying. It was not like no trust situation, right?
Yeah. And when you go to US for a job, you have to go through all this H1 process and all. How does it work in Germany?
Germany has this something now blue card, so they need skilled workers. Germany has shortage of workers, right? So they started this blue card thing where you can come, you can work for 3 years, then get your PR, and now they have
Okay.
changed the law. Within 5 years, you can get a passport.
I see. Okay. Okay.
Good
That's
thing.
nice. So it's easier than coming to US.
But the language matters, right? You have to learn the language in case you want to get a PR or if you want to get a citizenship, you have to learn
Okay.
German language.
All right. Last two questions on this part. So you've been here for 2 years. What has worked for you in this job for you to grow and do well?
Support from my team members and like my manager deciding where to put me because I was hired for a different team. And that was the same time they were building this platform thing. We use NX to have our monorepo. So when I was hired for UI team basically, which was building all library, right? So Celonis has its own design system and then we have our own UI library. But I'm still grateful to my manager. He used to be my manager, now he moved to another team, but we still interact because we handle our monorepo and I'm still helping that team in case there was something which needs to be done. So he said, okay, let's put Santosh into this team. And then for a to be team lead, he said, probably Santosh will run away in case we put him in this team. I'm like, okay, fine. But that was the different story. But yeah, he said, okay, let's move him into this team because we need some NX skills and someone who has worked on large scale applications. And then I spoke to my colleague who works from Dortmund. And then I spoke to him very openly that, look, I'm just coming out of depression. So don't expect a lot of things from me. And he was like, no worries, take your time to settle down. We are not in rush. And that was the whole culture. It was not like there was a push coming from the manager that you have to do this. Everyone was like pretty okay. Yeah, go with your own pace. It's not like we are going to push you, which was different previously. And then I realized that okay, this team really cares about you as well as a person, not only your work. And slowly, of course, started understanding and started interacting with more teams. So we have like more than 400 developers contributing to our repository. So interacting with everyone. And I think when I started speaking to people, they also realized that, okay, this person really knows what he's doing. So getting that response back that they also recognize that, okay, what you've been doing is good. That also gives some level of satisfaction because I'm not here for money for sure. Money is necessary, but I think what I'm making is enough. What really matters to me is having good colleagues or good people to work with. And it's working for me because I really had this promotion cycle. I don't care about like how much money I'm getting or as a raise, but what I really care about is my work. As far as I'm enjoying my work, which I'm doing right now, and I'm okay. And that's it. I think having great colleagues, they're getting recognized from them. That's it.
Awesome. Man, everything that you have shared today has a lot of depth and the clarity that you have for yourself. For me, that's the highlight of this interview. The actionable steps that you take, the clarity that you have in your actions and thought process, and where you're going, right? And why you're doing what you're doing. So it's remarkable. Thank you so much for sharing that. At some point, I guess it could be its own interview, how you grow yourself to a team leader or manager and then decided to become an individual contributor. So maybe that may take a long time. I know we are running behind. So I would love to catch up on that as well.
Whenever you want to, just let me know.
Okay. If it is a small answer, then we can cover it here. If not, then we can do it in a separate one.
It should be quick. I think we have already close to 47 years, right? So I think that happened during. So I started as senior engineer, right? So when I was working for that startup, and there was a lot of opportunity to grow.
Mhm.
So like I started showing my intent that I want to grow here, and then individually I became team lead, and then I started leading the support team because before that I was moved into another project which was very critical for us. We wanted to deliver it within 6 months. We did that, and once the project was done, went to prod. They wanted someone who knows that product. I said, okay, why don't you start leading this support team? And then I was like, okay, why not? And that was the times I really wanted money, right? Of course, I wanted to make more. And then that happened. I became team lead. And then next year, we got a new manager. I really liked his way of working. So I was like, he came from, I think, of the company, I don't remember the name, but he came from big organization. He used to work in Netherlands and then came back to India. And I was like very impressed. Still him, I'm still in contact with him. So I'm still grateful to him because he made me a better human being. I was an idiot. I would say that. I was very short tempered and everything. So if I have improved as a person, thanks to him, because he was the one who showed me like how to work with people, how to work in a team, and it helped me like, of course, in my career. But yeah, so I was inspired, and then I'm like, okay, I want to become a manager. So I started growing, became manager. Literally found that I'm not coding anymore. And I went again like why I started this thing, why I came into coding, or why I became a software engineer. And the answer was I love coding. I love to write code which like some people are using and then they're saying going wow. Then I said, okay, this is the time. I think I asked them, it's not late. I didn't ask. I told them I cannot just handle this 23 people team because I love to write code. So if you can do some restructure, hire new folks and give me just 4 people, I can do that. But he basically that was the time the things were like very bad there. The environment was becoming toxic. The new
Mhm.
manager was like really horrible. I can literally, I don't say any bad words, but I was like, when I resigned, there was only two options. Either I like go peacefully, either or I just hit him. I was shot him, but I didn't accept that. So that was that. And then, of course, I eventually left without hitting him for sure. And then went back and started giving interviews. And then that was the time I realized like how bad I am because I was getting rejected left, right. So people were like, "Oh, you are a team lead, you are a manager. Why should we trust that you can write code?" And eventually, this thing, like, I never wanted to move to Pune. That was not a plan to move to Pune. And I was giving interviews, and then this thing happened in a day. So it was like, okay, they took my interview on Saturday, and then within 3 hours, like, they sent me an offer letter saying, okay, next week you can come to Pune. Because that was the time I took a job in Mumbai itself.
Mhm.
I left my startup and took a job in Mumbai, but that was not even. And even it's not like in my resume anymore that I work for that company because it was just 1 month. I
Mhm.
literally ran away. So I was like, okay. When they sent me an offer, I was like, yeah, I'm coming to Pune, but give me 3 days because I'm supposed to get my paycheck. And that was the first month, so they gave me a check. So it would take 2 3 days to clear in your bank account, right? So I said, okay, give me 3 days. Fourth day, I just ran away to Pune. I was like, okay, bye bye.
Mhm.
And I think grateful that happened because Pune gave me a lot of things that my life literally took a turn. I came into open source because I was in Pune. I was like having a lot of time. I was teaching Angular because of course I was having a lot of time. Mumbai is a city where you travel for four hours a day. How are you supposed to manage your work-life balance? Even if you just work for 8 hours,
Yeah.
just think about 4 hours traveling, it makes 12 hours, and you're done. In Mumbai for till 2016, and then moved to Pune in 2016.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's go to our last three questions. With everything that you have shared, anything that you want to add that I did not ask?
Yeah. Apart from, of course, if you want to become someone who's interested in becoming a GD or who want to become a data staff, feel free to send me a message. Like we can always schedule some calls and teach the things. How it goes.
Perfect. And then, do you have any question for me?
Uh, Not a question, but thank you. Thank you for doing this. I saw the tweet which you mentioned, like where you been working with some people to get into tech. So thank you for doing that. As I said, me and my co-founder, we both are really big fan of open learning and open source. And then you're doing something. That's great.
I will connect you with somebody named Ankush. He and his partner is also doing something similar. I will connect you there. And the last question, what's your message to the audience?
One thing which I've learned from my journey so far is not to give up. Of course, there are bad times, good times. Just hang on. Just try giving your best, and good things will happen.
Thank you so much, Santosh, for this interview. I really learned a lot about you as a person, and I have this intense feeling of becoming your friend. I will try my best to not lose this connection ever. So I
I
felt
mean,
like I know you for a long time and will build upon it. So thank you so much for that.
thank you for the opportunity. I really loved talking to you, and yeah, let's stay in touch as well.